Good morning once again. Um, Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be the moderator for this very important discussion. Initially, when we had the discussion with the Bhutan Foundation, we deliberated for a long time on how the approach of this um, conference should be. But then what we decided was every year there is a discussion, um, happening in Thimphu, and then usually it's always the stakeholders and not necessarily those who, other actors usually tend to show up less, and then more so it's Thimphu has always been the focus, so which is why we decided to have the in the morning to have the launch in Paro, as well as trying to take the discussion in other Zongkhaksla. As we speak, the other team from the United Nations and other stakeholders of members of Agenda Chika are in Wangdi Podrang observing the um, International Day for Person with Disability as well. So with this, in our so like Jamyan mentioned, there will be two panel discussion sessions. So the morning session, it's all about birth and early intervention as well as education. So I have the honor of firstly introducing Mr. Doji Wachu. He is the Chief of SEN and ECT Division, Ministry of Education. So Doji Wachu began his career back in 1997 as a teacher, serving at Gelpojing Higher Secondary School for 3.5 years before moving into leadership. He went on to work as a principal in 12 years across the three Zongkhaks, strengthening school system and student learning environment. From 2012 to 2020, he served as an education officer in both Thimphu and Punseling, Tromde. At the national level, Dorji has held key leadership role as a chief program officer in private school division, the school liaison and coordination division, now the ECCD and SEN division under the Department of Education. He holds a B.Ed from National Institute of Education and a Master's in Leadership in Education from Paro College of Education. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you. Now I have the honor of introducing Dr. Namita Jacob, the Consultant Development and Disability. Dr. Namita Jacob is a leading specialist in early intervention, sensory disabilities, and inclusive education, with more than 30 years of experience in developing programs across Asia and the Middle East and the United States. She directs Chetana, is it Chetana? Yeah, Chetana Charitable Trust, where she leads pioneering works in early identification, assistive technology, accessibility, early literacy, and community partnership with adult deafblind community. She has advised national ministries in India, contributed to ROP and CVI guidelines, and helped establish early interventions and sensory service in countries including Bhutan, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Saudi Arabia. Widely published and deeply involved in Global Disability Network, she also monitors students and professionals across several leading universities. Again, a round of applause, please. Thank you. Now, Mr. Doji, a medical speech pathologist, Department of Psychiatry. Mr. Doji Numa is a graduate of Justice K.S. Hedge Medical Academy, Net University. He works as a medical speech pathologist at the Department of Psychiatry, JDWNRH. As a speech language pathologist, his expertise lies in assessing, diagnosing, and treating speech, language, communication, swallowing, and other neurological disorder across all age groups. Currently, he and his team runs neurodevelopmental clinic under psychiatry department, where they cater a wide range of services to neurodevelopment disorder, primarily autism spectrum disorder and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And finally, we have Madam Prashanti Pradhan, Executive Director of Pension Parent Support Group, Bhutan. Madam Prashanti served in the Royal Civil Service for almost 14 years before she resigned to take care of her son after he was diagnosed with multiple disabilities and needed intensive care and interventions. She holds a bachelor's in agriculture from Marathwada University in India and a master's by research degree in agricultural science from the University of Melbourne, Australia. A mother of a child living with cerebral palsy combined with visual impairment and a strong advocate for her child, Ms. Prashanti Pradhan has a personal interest in striving towards an inclusive environment. Ms. Prashanti Pradhan is the co-founder of Pension Parent Support Group and currently serving as an executive director. Let's look at this with this round of introduction. I think let's put the dots together. So we'll start with birth. So we will start with the medical area first. See what's it like, to have children with disability. What are the early diagnostic services that's existing in the country? What are the things that's been services those are available within the country for children with disabilities, for different disabilities. And finally, let's maybe if you would be kind enough to share with us what are his aspirations or the type of services that he sees would definitely benefit the majority of children living with disabilities, and then the type of services that that's in plan within the ministry, as well as those services that the ministry is trying to expand. First, Nima sir, thank you for joining. Okay? So let's start with the current services and capacities. What screening, diagnostic, and early intervention services are currently available for children and parents with disabilities across the health facilities, not just in GD, but rest of the regions, Nalapaya, the services that those are available.
Very good morning to all the participants. Thank you to the organizer for giving me and my team this opportunity to be the part of this conference. I am here to address on an invisible disability that's often been overlooked or underseen. Now, when it comes to visible physical disability, I believe that most of the services and intervention, whatever it is in right place, but then the invisible disabilities is in an emerging phase, and it's in a very rudimentary phase as of now. And like in my introduction, sir has mentioned that me and my team, we run something called as neurodevelopmental clinic under psychiatry department in Jimito Junction National Rifle Hospital, and I would like to emphasize and address on this. So this invisible disability includes autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, then we have learning disability, we have intellectual deficit disorder, and we have like global developmental delay and other form of disability. Now, unlike the physical disability that is invisible, these are usually like hidden, and most people are not aware about this. So now to start off with the services that we have for this population of this disorder or disability, firstly we have a sort of advocacy and prevention level. So I'll start off with the MCH services, Mother and Child Hospital services. We have a wide range of services in Mother and Child Hospital. So first one is we have ANC classes, which are normally done by clinical counselors. So this, for my non-medical friends here, ANC is nothing but antenatal classes. So antenatal is nothing but before birth. So it's from the time of pregnancy, conception to the time of delivery. So there are several literatures and research which says that these neurodevelopmental disorders are often associated with poor mental health poor mental health of mother during conception. So as a part of prevention, and we all know that the mental health of a mother is very important during pregnancy. So in order to strengthen the mental health of our parents, so we have antenatal classes on every Monday at MCH, which is done by the clinical counselors. Then we have something called as postnatal care classes on every Tuesday. That is also at MCH. That's also done by clinical counselors. So in this postnatal care classes, our clinical counselors usually helps the mother with coping strategies, emotional adjustment, because right after the birth of the child, a lot of environmental changes happens, a lot of changes happen. So in order to help the mother and family cope with this, we have postnatal classes by clinical counselors. And on every Friday, I think we have parenting classes as well, because there are several, again, research and literature which says that the environmental deprivation is often associated with forms of communication disorders, let's say speech delay, language delay, or neurodevelopmental disorders. That's why we have parenting classes wherein our clinical counselors focus on the need of parent-child interaction, focus on the awareness of the developmental milestones that the parents need to observe, and focus on the family and relationship dynamics. These are the MCH services. Now I'll go on with the OPD services. That is nothing but outpatient department services that we have in our psychiatric department. So firstly, we have a multidisciplinary team, and in our team, I'll introduce my team members. We have one child and adolescent psychiatrist. We have only one child and adolescent psychiatrist in the whole country. We have 2 medical speech pathologists, and we have 4 clinical counselors as of now, catering service to this population of disorder or disability. Now, if I highlight the role of if I highlight the role of my team members, the child and adolescent psychiatrists, they are usually there for the diagnostic purposes. They are the one who diagnose child as autism spectrum disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And after that, we have speech pathologists. We normally assist, diagnose, and intervene all the speech, language, and communication related disorders. And we have clinical counselors. We had 2 occupational therapists before. Occupational therapists are the key member in this population of disability, but then we lost both of them to the civil service attrition, and it has been such a big blow to us, and we couldn't recover ourselves from that. However, we have clinical counselor who basic behavioral and sensory profiling as of now. Okay, these are the assessment and diagnostic services that we have. If I move on with the intervention services, we have individual speech therapy sessions. That's like from Monday to Saturday. On weekdays, it's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and on Saturday, it's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we have basic behavioral therapy, which are normally conducted by clinical counselors. That's also on the same timing as us. And then we have even the group therapy sessions, wherein we enroll, like, let's say 10 children with autism spectrum disorder, and we teach them basic interaction and social skills together. Apart from that, we also have parent support session, wherein we call certain number of parents with this disability, and we train them on what needs to be done as a part of home training and activities. And apart from that, we have social media group where through which we disseminate the valuable information to the parents. That's it with the screening, diagnostic, and the intervention services at Jimmy Dojo National Referral Hospital. And I was also asked to speak about the services in other hospitals. As of now, we do not have this service. This service is only available in the National Referral Hospital, and we don't have this service even in the regional hospitals. So let's forget about the district and other primary healthcare units. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the highlights. I've been just curious. Again, I've been meaning to ask you questions from the questions that were said earlier, but then just out of curiosity, I mean, there are a lot of Bhutanese parents who are now availing Cooper therapy in Siliguri. So, is it a different kind of therapy, or it's the same therapy, but it's just that the health system right now does not have the capacity to cater to the children with disability, or is it something different?
That's a very interesting question, in fact. And what I say is that the services is same. The therapy is same. I always tell the parents who goes to Cooper's in India that I'm also a graduate of India, so I also have the same technique as that. But then the difference here is that when, as of now, we are the only service provider to this population of disability in our country, and we are certain lapses are from our part as well. So now, when you have a child with special need, WHO normally says that a child should receive 30 hours of therapy in a week. 30 hours of therapy in a week. But then the interesting fact about our clinic is that since we are having to cater service to the whole nation's population, we are only able to give let's say 1 hour of therapy in a session. So the prognosis improvement in the child that we are able to bring is quite very time taking. So that's why in like Cooper Therapy Center, since it's private and they have a good number of therapists and clinicians, they are able to provide daily required number of sessions. That's why I believe that students are rushing in there, and it's to do with the capacity building as well.
Thank you for clarifying, because of late we have seen a lot of parents spending, huge amount of money staying down there for like 3 months, 6 months at a time, and then it's usually the mother who has to travel to India with, and then it does have a lot of huge out-of-pocket expenditure as well. So that's, thank you for clarifying. And I think last question again to you is, what are your aspirations? What are the plans of the ministries to expand these early intervention services? And you, personally, you as a clinician, what are your aspirations for expanding these services in the country?
We are quite very optimistic about the future plans, because as of now, we are in a very old structure, which I jokingly say that if earthquake comes, I'll be the first person to run away. That we are placed in a hospital that I believe is the first hospital in Bhutan, but then now with the support from the PEMA Secretariat, we are soon getting a very world-class new structure, PEMA Center, and there we have better rooms, better facilities, and I also believe that the higher officials are working on the capacity building. So we are quite very optimistic regarding this, and our plan is that we also expand our service to the other, if not the district hospital, at least in the regional hospitals, the services, because it's a fun fact that autism spectrum disorder is very much on rise. Now, when I was a student back in university, the incidence and prevalence of autism spectrum disorder was like 1 in, I think, 100 something. And the current CDC's prevalence is that it's 1 in 31. So this prevalence rate is like quite very alarming. So our plan is that we are looking forward to expanding our service to the regional hospital, at least if not for the therapeutic intervention, the basic screening and all. As of now, the health professionals in the district hospitals and regional hospitals are not equipped with the training and awareness about this like screening, diagnostic, and the intervention approaches.
So thank you so much. If you can pass the mic to Guruji, sir. So again, once again, thank you so much for consenting to come and share this forum with us. To start off, let's ask a very basic question. I think, in the speech made by Madam CD, I think SEN it's been almost 2 decades that the special education need program has been implemented by Ministry of Education, Mola. So, Ane Bodolu, what do you think is one of the biggest achievement in terms of SEN education in Bhutan?
Kuzambo, thank you so much for giving an opportunity to talk on the inclusive schools as well as inclusive education. I will be speaking to the lens of parent and as a chief of inclusive division in Ministry of Education. I will talk on 2 things, 2 points, because whenever we plan, whenever we make decisions, we always keep 2 things in our mind. 1, access. 2, quality. These are the 2 things that we always keep in mind before we implement any plan. So, as mentioned earlier, that I'll be talking to the eyes of parent. I'm a parent of a child with special needs. My eldest son, who is 24 years old right now. Sometimes I get confused with his disabilities. When he was enrolled in Changanka, he was put under Down syndrome. Later, after reaching the age of 16, he was sent to Dakso. So we enrolled him at Dakso, and then he was categorized under ASD, autism. So this really confused me and even my wife. Later, I've gone through this prescription given to us by the medical specialist in JD, and it was said that he is of Nanon syndrome. So where he will be having 20 to 30% of autism. So I serve as principal in Trongsa, where there was no access to such kind of children. So this is number 1. Then I had to, after 4 years, I was transferred to Chuka, same thing. Then I was sent to Sirang. So at this, I just wanted him to pick up the speech. He had a delay in his speeches. And then he started walking at the age of 4. So these are the things. So I just wanted him to pick up the speeches as well as to himself and from others. So therefore, I, as a principal, that was an advantage to me. So I had to admit him in a school where teachers were not trained. And then at that time, we just have few schools, like one in Changanka, then another one Khali, mentioning for blind. So one achievement. So slowly, the number of school has increased. Now we have 50 out of 50, 45, 48 are inclusive schools and 2 are specialized schools. One at Wangtel, one at Mesulingla. So we have 48 inclusive schools across all the Zongkoks as well as in 4 Tromdesla. So that is one of the achievements that we are proud of. It's not that we have opened so many schools. We are not proud of the schools that we have opened. We are proud of increasing the accessibility for our children. And we are proud of not leaving any child behind. So looking at the, if you look at the National Health Survey, we have seen that there are report reveals that 6.8% are with disabilities. Out of 6.8%, how many children are enrolled in the school? If you look at our statistics at the moment, if we just look at the average, we have 11,000 something children from age 5 to 18. Out of that, we are just having 1,436 children enrolled in 50 inclusive schools, which has been increased from 935 to 1,436 this year. So this is one of our achievement in terms of providing the accessibility to our children. And looking at that accessibility, so we are strategizing our plan. So we are coming up with the 3 tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Tier 3, we are actually, as per the 13th 5-year plan, we are supposed to increase to 120 inclusive schools. But we later thought that that will not work, because at the moment we have 50 schools which we are having difficulty in providing the facilities to the children around the country. So that's why we have come up with the 3 tiers. Tier 3, we'll go from Tier 3. Tier 3, we are going to consider all the schools, 533 schools, as inclusive schools, where they will have the children with mild disabilities enrolled, so that at least the children do not have to go to one school. For example, say in Thangka, if children of Langtel has an issue, so they do not have to go to Thangka to study, because Thangka is inclusive school. They do not have to go to Thangka to study. They can study in Langtel if we have such kind of system. So Tier 1 is a general school where we'll have all schools, teachers trained in inclusive education, where they can identify and where they can provide the intervention, and where they can assess the children. That's one. Then Tier 2. So coming to Tier 2, we have 50 out of 50. We are going to build the capacities in 24 inclusive schools, where they can send the children with moderate disability to those 24 schools, where they will have hostel facilities, where 75 of the teachers train in inclusive education. And then we are being supported by agencies like Save the Children, Bhutan Foundation, UNICEF, in supporting all this plan. And then the Tier 1, so we are planning to have 5 schools. So we are already started with Changanka School. We have already put up the proposal to have better facilities there, where this school will be a training hub as well as the research hub for the inclusive education. So these are the plans that we are coming up. And so that's why I'm saying accessibility, where we are proud of, where we could increase the enrollment of our children. Then quality. So when I talk about the school, we are not putting aside the ECD centers. We are also improving. We are also providing accessibility to ECC centers. At the moment, we have 4 inclusive ECC centers, one in Changgangkau, one in Gelepu, one in Kaling, and one in Changang. And then very soon we are going to come up with the support from Save the Children. We are going to have 2 more inclusive ECC centers in Mongar and Samsila. So because we just cannot wait till age 6, otherwise it will be delayed. So brain development should start from younger age, not from age 6. Therefore, we are also considering ECC centers and doing our best to have all those facilities in ECC centers too. And now quality. This is one of the things that we are proud of. We have started with the MAT program for our teachers, one who can pursue master's program in inclusive education so that they can provide quality education to our children. And third one is curriculum. So when you talk about the curriculum, it's not that they have to follow the same curriculum where our children of mainstream schools are following. So they have the flexibility. Even if they for board exam, they have the flexibility. So Big C, they come up with their own strategy where they can provide the subject where the student can do it. So based on that, based on the progress report submitted by school, they are given the promotion. And then on the curriculum, we do not stick to our curriculum. They have the functional curriculum where they can go by their abilities. And then the last one is with the support from ATB, we are providing pre-vocational training to our children so that later they can go to Tibet, TTI. So this is how we are looking at, and we are proud of these 4 things. Thank you.
Les Doji sir, thank you so much for the for the details. Just out of curiosity, when you mentioned about your child, you said that there has been a case of misdiagnosis novella, and that I think in that line, now that we know from Mercer that the early screening services does not cater to the whole nation because owing to the various limitations that he mentioned. So how does it work, love? How does a child, let's say in a remote village, how does identification of his disability, because usually those are intellectual disabilities, so identifying a children to be enrolled in a SEN school. So how does the identification system work? Like, is there a medical procedure that's required for a parent, or is it done by the school after referral, or how does it work?
So very recently we have started training our ECCD facilitators in order to use the R&D kits to assess the children for early identification so that they can provide the necessary support. If you go back to the school, once the children are enrolled in pre-primary school classes, so as soon as they join, they get into the school, they are kept under observation for a month. Then after that, they will start screening the child using the brilliances and then R&D kits. And once they are doubtful about the child, they will always consult OT in DD. So their identification will not work unless they are being diagnosed by DD. This is how they work on. So they will be kept under observation for 1 month. Then, if they are doubtful, they will keep for another month. That's how they screen our students in the school. And this is all done by our teachers with the support from JDL.
Thank you for the clarification. The final question, how are the transitions supported? For example, ECCD to primary to higher grades. schools to tertiary education, skilling training, or employment. Are there cases of successful transition that illustrates, and from the somebody as a part of a success story?
This is very challenging. Very challenging because not so easy to have the transition, smooth transition from. There's no issue from ECCD to primary education, but there is an issue from middle to higher secondary school because higher secondary school teachers are not so much trained in that, and then we have children with different forms of disabilities. Some can really do, so those who can do are being sent to higher secondary school, and likewise. With the hope of pre-vocational training in the school, we thought we have a feeling that these children might do well in TTI, and then ministry is still talking with the other department called PST, where we can have our children admitted in the TTI. So dialogue is still ongoing, and then we are trying to come up with the best solution for our children. And the success thing, a story thing, I can mention three things. Like say at the moment, just 2 years ago, Mr. Singh sang for us. He completed class grade 12 from Kali, and now he's working Kuzi FM. There's one achievement. Another one, if you look at our program analyst, Shogel, one who is working as program analyst in ECC and SIN division, where he brought lots of changes in terms of interest education. And third one, we have children from Drugso doing better. Now they come up with their own produce and they sell it. So these are the proud moment for us to cherish actually. And then we have other for Taniwachu who is working with us in adult and higher education as a assistant program officer who is doing a great job.
Yes, thank you, sir. Now I'll ask, pass the mic to Madam Prashanti. Madam Prashanti and I usually on the, like whenever we meet, we discuss a lot of problems. I don't know what to ask them now.
He already knows what's on my mind.
Because I know both she and I, we are full of complaints. Nevertheless, I think it's about trying to position Bhutan into a more inclusive society. So I've never asked you this, and I've been always meaning to ask you. When you had your son, and then you found out that he has multiple disabilities. So what was the what was the first thing that came to your mind? I mean, like, okay, now this is a situation. There is a reality check that happens with every parent. So then, what was the first thing that popped into your mind? Like, okay, where do I seek support, or these are the things that I would do, something like that.
To be very honest with you, at first it was like total denial, and when my son was born, I was like the most well-behaved mother, so expectant mother, so careful about my lifestyle and my diet and blah and blah. And then of course he arrived 2 months early, and we had to spend 3 weeks in the NICU because they don't let you go mola until the child is like minimum of 2 kgs and can feed on his own. So at that time I was like ever curious, let's say, always like looking at Google, which sometimes really messes up with your mind. And so it was like I was like, I don't need to hyperdrive, if you'd like to call it that, and looking for things, asking questions, looking at the papers and the notes the doctor made, and like asking, what's the meaning of this, and then getting more worried. But it was, I never thought long term, to be very honest. And even when my son was in the NICU, it was like we had a number of neonatologists who would come there, and after we were finally discharged, I actually drove Dr. P.P. crazy. And I would take him back every week, my son, and I had this notebook with his head measurement and his length, and because somebody said that the head looks a little bigger than the body, it also be me. So they were like, maybe there's fluid in the brain. So I would like just drive him crazy, and he would laugh and say like, wait, this date fed this much, pooped this many times, eat this many times, length here. I would take my tape and say, doctor, measure. So, and then even I was like, so pedantic that like at 6 months of age, I noticed that he was looking at me while we was feed, not tracking, like visually tracking. So again, I went back to Dr. PP, and then he was like, okay. We had, by the way, we had one physiotherapist in the country at that time who was like an all-in-one, PT, OT, speech, you name it. She was that person. So we went there and we started some sort of early intervention. And at that time, our hospital didn't even have capacity to actually diagnose him properly. Now when I look back, I think, and I tell all the parents, diagnosis is not important. It's your child's challenges that are important. But at that time, as a parent of a 6-month-old baby, I was also looking for the diagnosis. And we had to take our son to CMC Vellore to actually get a thorough screening back, and then we came up with the branding, so to speak, and it said like cerebral palsy and CPI 3 question marks. That was what the paper said, and we came up with home interventions. And after that also, I was like, I still call myself, I refer to myself as a headless chicken. We were just running from pillar to post, You wouldn't believe the places we went to, starting with clinical interventions, non-clinical intervention, some weird Baba somewhere in Bagdogra where we took him every day and he would massage our son in this grimy room and all that. And then it was I think it was only about when he was 4, 5 years of age that it slowly started dawning on us that this is not something that is temporary. We have to live with it. And actually, we're so lucky because actually Namita came into our lives, and then she was one of the first ones who pushed me and said, you have to get your child an education, And then we started going to, when my son was 6 years old, we decided, okay, finally, I accepted the advice, and I said, okay, we'll take him to an ECCD center. And then, not 5 years old. And then nobody wanted to take him because, nobody had seen a child with such profound disabilities, physical as well as visual impairment. And then finally, Youngri from Mijo ECCD was willing to take on the challenge, but she was like, I'm not ready, give me a year to prepare. And then she took a year to prepare. So when at the age of 6, every child in Bhutan goes to school, my son went to an ECCD center. And then I went there, and I was there in the classroom. I was a part of the furniture. I would sit there with him, and because he couldn't sit unsupported, so I was his chair basically, because all the other kids sit on the mat. And I would move room to room with him. And till one day, there was this, Rachel was a speech therapist, I think, in JD, and she had come there and she picked me out of that room, and she was like, how long are you going to stay there? She said, you have to go, you have to let him learn to be with somebody else besides his mother. And then, oh my God, it was so difficult for me to go out of that room. And then my son cried for exactly 10 seconds. After that, he went back to playing. So then I realized, okay, I was the problem, not him, not letting him go. But after that, Youngri would still allow me to park my car inside a compound, and I would sit there, take my laptop, take my books, and I would sit there and do all sorts of things. But that's how it started. But I had to struggle. I had to struggle to get him into an ECCD. Then after that, there was a struggle to get him into school. And now, it's going beyond what you asked me, but but I'll just say that I think that is how Pensum started. The story of Pensum started like that, because then I was later on, I thought in retrospective, I was educated mother, exposed, empowered. I struggled so much with my son. What about the other mothers who are not so empowered like me? And I had the luxury to be able to make the choice of giving up my career to focus on my son. Not everybody has that that luxury of that choice. No, no. So along that way, like I met two more moms who had similar stories, and we got together and we started Pencil. So now, yes, it was a very difficult journey, and it started with total denial, and getting into acceptance was very difficult.
Lasla, thank you for your personal life story. Um, Now that how long Pencil has been there? It's about 9.
Unofficially, we got together with 8 families in 2017, and I call Bhutan Foundation the Wind Beneath Our Wings because they actually kind of got us together and pulled us up. And we registered as a civil society organization in 2020. So actually, we just turned 5 years
Oh, yeah, yeah.
officially.
So I mean, in this 5 years, so what are the challenges that you as the executive director of Pencil um, challenges in terms of parents' acceptance of their children with disability, that their child has a disability, as well as challenges while trying to seek support from organizations. What are the key challenges that you see Lata, from both the lenses, as a executive director and as a parent?
Oh, I don't know where to start. I can go on and speak for a week, I think, on this. But number one, like from the parents' perspective, it is acceptance. And even once you have accepted and said that, okay, yes, I accept that my child is a little different, then after that, it's the access to services. Like you said over here, Mola, the most of the diagnostics, the services are only in Thimphu, and that too, it's so limited. And for somebody living in the village who's like having like who's struggling to make ends meet, you don't even have that money to be able to travel to Thimphu and stay here for weeks or months to just get screened. We're not even talking about services, so that is like really really difficult. And education, like for Pensium, we've been harping on this since day one. We say that education is empowering. Your child, it's your child's right. You need to get an education. Every child can learn, and parents really get inspired. They go to the school, the services are not there, and after that they just give up. So there are so many challenges, and then very very important is now uh, when you have a child with a disability, your cost of raising the child goes up, and then your source of income comes down because one of the parents has to give up their livelihood. Are you going to um, spend all your time making sure that your child gets the support in terms of early intervention, or are you going to bring food to the table? So these are some very, very difficult questions to me. There are lots, but it is.
I mean, interestingly, you mentioned, and it's similar cases even in Wongsel as well, that it's usually the mother who gives up her career to to take care of her child, and quite often, I mean, with the increasing number of divorce rate in the country, then what happens is now there is a woman who's given up her career and has no other source of income level. So, in keeping that context in mind, what kind of if if it was ever your wish to be granted, what kind of social protection would you envision for Bhutan, both for children as well as for the caregivers?
For caregivers, yes, it's very important, and there's different levels to it. Really need that social protection in the form of like allowance or a handout or some sort of support to just augment your daily living. But I would see social protection in various other forms as well, like in the case of, let's say, how would you put it now, tax exemption, where you have expenses, the added expenses that are there. Just I think last week or two, at the most 2 weeks back, one of the parents came to me and they was like, we were having a gathering in the office. Oh, we were celebrating His Majesty's 70th birthday. And then we had a dinner with the parents, and one of the parents was like, oh, madam, do you know now from next year for our PIT, you get the thing, disability kind of 40,000. And then everybody had a good laugh and were like, what is 40,000, you know? And then, but well, it's a start. But I see that as like, see, another way of kind of supporting caregivers raising persons with disabilities. And I see like if, for those of you who are not aware of the benefit here, I say that even in Changangkha school, which is like the first inclusive school that we started, and we have a lot of children with very profound disabilities, my son is one of them, enrolled in this school. You have the children in the classroom, you have the parents, mostly the mother sitting outside, as like somebody for the teachers to call or support the child. So if there was somebody to give that support, then these mothers would be out earning, working, you know, and filling in the gaps that this huge movement, outflow of people from the country has created. We need support services in terms of things like that. That is just small thing here, but
Yes, thank you. I'll now move to Dr. Nomita. You've been in Bhutan for quite a while now, and then you are exposed to, let's say, many other developing as well as developed countries. Um, so, asking you a very candid question on this international day for persons with disabilities, where does Bhutan stand in terms of inclusion?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Wow. I can answer well. It's a very difficult question. I can answer in the context of Bhutan itself. When I first came to Bhutan, it was 2012. And when I look at Bhutan now, 2025, certainly I see a country that's kept many of its commitments. Is something that I find unique and wonderful in Bhutan is that you can actually go and talk to Chief Seng ECC. You can talk to the people who make things happen. You can talk to the people, and they are deeply, deeply connected. I love that the Ministry of Education has program officers constructed from educators, from people who spent and done their time in schools across the country, therefore people who know. In many, many ways, then Bhutan holds tremendous strength. Where I think the big gaps certainly exist, because when I came, I've always had the privilege of working directly with children and families in classrooms, with principals and with the ministries, and OTs and not so much speech, but OTs a lot, some speech. So really being able to work at different levels in the country has also made visible what the gaps are, and the gaps are many. The gaps are certainly many, partly because of one of your strengths, which is a small population. You can actually count, you can actually know so much about each and every citizen who needs your support. And that's a tremendous, tremendous gift for you to have. Perhaps one of the biggest challenges has been a base way of fund which demands everyone needs everything. So if you start a program in one place, it becomes a major imperative that every zonta of the country gets it. If one school has a service, then every school must have it. And I would argue that for a country like yours, perhaps that has been a reason why we cannot grow quality. Because every time we have one successful program, if the answer is to duplicate that program across the country, that may not be the most efficient solution, always. Sometimes you have to look at the box. You have to look at, does everyone have to come to one place, or do you want to change the way a service is offered? Do you want to create, because I worry. I saw Nankashanti's son when he was 5, already too late. In my mind, that's already too late. You 5 fantastic years where the human brain and body is so. So I've known Ma'am Prashanti's son when he was quite small, and in my eyes already too old. We've lost 5 years in this running around and searching for good services. Today, more than a decade later, I still feel that he's losing services. The services haven't caught up with him. So in aiming for a uniform, fantastic service across the country, you're losing a whole generation of children. You're losing a whole generation of adults, youth. So that would be for me, yes, an understanding both that the country holds great strength, has a hugely supportive machine, the ministry, that is committed to things that automatically spell inclusion. You are committed to an equality, a fairness across all your citizens. You are providing your citizens with free healthcare and free education, which are of really good quality. This is all immensely valuable and puts you way above many of the countries in the region. I think what holds you back is the geography and the challenges that come with it, and in a sense, the strength and the weakness of having a small population. You have a small population, it means you have a small group of people who need services. But if you have a small population, it means you have a small group of people to provide services. So really flipping how you think about designing and delivery systems will be something that in a very short time can move the quality of services in Bhutan up. This is something I believe.
Sorry for the difficult question. Anyways, here comes another one. Just kidding. As we talked during the tea break, our office, with the grant from the Government of India, will soon be carrying out a national screening across the country for its screening and certification system across the country for persons and children with disabilities, especially for those who are with intellectual disability or the invisible disability. So, is there a, international standard on how to go about it, or what advice would you give us in our endeavor, let's say?
Yes, I think in the afternoon today we will join Professor Ravenscroft, who's here, has immense expertise in this area and will share several models with you. And it is something that we'll talk about in greater detail, what is happening world over, how do other countries deal with the questions that have emerged that are similar to your questions, and what have they done about it. So certainly there are recommendations that you can pull from that. In terms of what would I suggest or what advice, what do you need to think about, I think perhaps you're already going down that road yourself. Something that's a nationwide effort of certification, identification, I'm sure happens with very close partnership and leadership from the ministry. Because in the end, you are talking about something that is an act that a nation has to hold responsibility for. And in this case, the office of the nation is the government. So it has to lie within it. I think it's fantastic that it's been driven by the impetus of the community of people with disabilities. I think that's already a big plus. But to ensure that it's sustained, it's safe, it's secure, the information is used appropriately. To ensure all these things, you do need the government that takes on and holds this responsibility to make it truly do what I'm sure you've set out as your what do I do with this information? Well, that's why you have a government.
Thank you. You see, the biggest challenges in terms of physical infrastructure that Bhutan has I believe I read somewhere that ours is the most mountainous country in the world ever. I think about 98.9 or 8% of the country. 91? It's mountainous. I remember, when I was in Punsaling and I had a friend who was a wheelchair user, we wanted to visit the border town in India, and then it was so easily commutable. With that in line, with regard to physical infrastructure as well as in terms of inclusive education, what piece of advice or suggestion would you give to the Ministry of Health, or I mean Education, if they ever wanted to enhance on the 50 schools that's already been invested?
I think the one thing that you've already started doing in Bhutan is a solid investment in assistive technology, and not buying assistive technology, but creating creating solutions. You point out that you live in a country that's largely mountainous. The resulting difficulty is not just felt by people with disabilities, it's felt by everybody. And it's felt by anyone who's fallen down and broken a leg. It's felt by anyone whose knees started to hurt as they age. It's felt by everyday citizens. And having lived in this country for all these years, you've already come up with solutions for yourselves. You've come up with small, simple ways in which you were able to handle icy roads or bumpy roads and so on. The question now is to bring the engineering, the ingenuity together. And I do think that that has always been the most intelligent way forward. Right now, a lot of the AT that I've seen outside has been, what has been created in Japan and then duplicated here to then test with the children of Bhutan. But what I've also seen is what parents came up with, what students came up with, just out of their own head, and one human being, one difficulty, perhaps the best way to create an innovative solution. A lot of the solutions exist. They need to be recognized and then made available. And again, I will say, making one ramp and then making every school have that ramp does not solve it. No, that is not the answer. There is no one magic set of devices that will solve everybody's problem across Bhutan. They will just sit in cupboards, and the kids will still be carried up the steps, and the kids will still need help of their parents to go to the bathroom, and you still will not have achieved anything. So I will say, work with your strengths, your own capacity, your own ingenuity, your own in-country solutions, and please don't fear solving for individuals.
Lasla, with this, from my side, I'm done with the list of questions I had in my computer as well as in my head.